This video will help you create the train wheel in Inventor. So first thing we want to do is we want to look at the schematics for the train wheel. It is a fairly complicated part. We're going to base everything on this particular picture. I can zoom it in a little bit here. So rims, wheels, they can be tricky because there's a lot of different features cut in. But what we want to understand, the basic outline is going to be just a circle, right? But trying to extrude a circle to have a lot of different ridges is very difficult. So instead, we're going to take the profile. So if we look at this cutaway here, this cross section, this profile right here is the one we're going for. So we will look at that profile, we'll dimension it, we'll create that profile, and then we will revolve the profile around to form the full wheel. Then we'll go back and we'll drill the hole for the axle, and then we will create along the way, we'll create this platform here with the linkage arm post. And here we see some dimensions for the platform and the post, as well as the hole that we drill into the post. And then we also have to cut these windows. We're going to cut these extrusions, these features out of the rim to give it sort of an old-timey train look. That's what we're going for. So to start with, we're going to take this outline here and we're going to try and figure out how to turn a rectangle into this shape. So a couple of things. We want to go ahead and look at the radius here, this arc, this external arc here. It says 0.125 and it's pointing to this edge here. Now we also see that the width, the total width is 0.25. We have some interior fillets that are 0.0625. So that's something to keep in consideration. We have this center part here. So if we draw a construction line, we'll be able to do that. But we need a bottom of a rectangle. So if this started off as a rectangle, that's what we're going to work with. So let's do a basic outline then. Here we are in Inventor. We're going to start a 2D sketch. And we're just going to start with drawing a line. Make sure the line is completely vertical. You should see the symbol pop up. And then we want to come straight across. Then we want to come up to maybe about a third of the way. Then we're going to come in halfway. So make sure you get the little dotted line that lines up with halfway. And make sure it's perpendicular. And then go up. Then come back out and make sure the top is even with the bottom. And finish it off. So if it's not quite right, use your geometric constraints. Use your perpendicular constraints to make sure these two lines are perpendicular and to make sure these two are perpendicular. Also use your vertical constraint to make sure this line is vertical and this line is vertical and this line is vertical. You can use your collinear constraint here to make sure this is completely lined up with this. And if it is, you'll get a simple error message to say it's already done. Adding the constraint will over-constrain the sketch. That means it's already been done. So that's sort of the shape we're going to start with. I know it doesn't look much like this, but it's upside down, so keep that in mind. Let's see. It looks like from the bottom, yeah. So from here to here, the distance from here to here. That's what we want to look at first. And that is this piece here, so 0.25. So this is going to be 0.25. And then we want to look at overall distance. Well, that goes up to here, so that's not overall, is it? So we'll have to add a 0.125 to that. So 1.125 maybe. 0.25 there, 0.75. So we can go ahead and do this one. So from here to here is 0.75. That's not what we want. You see how this got crossed? That line got crossed over. I might be able to fix it. I'm going to try a couple of different ways to fix it. Hit escape to get out of dimension mode. I'm going to grab this line and try and drag it up. And that fixed it. That's fine. If that didn't fix it, then I may have to rewind, or I may have to cut it out and redraw it. But you can hit the rewind anytime you need to. And then we want to look at the overall height here. Well, we know it said 1 inch, but because that was going to, the radius is going to be 1.125, I believe. We can go back and change that if we find that that's not quite correct. So see, what I did was, there's my 1 inch, but that 1 inch only goes to here. That is the center point for the arc. Well, if the radius is 0.125, then that means from the center point to this edge, it should be 0.125. So I just added that to 1. That's where that number came from. Now we want to move in and make sure our width is correct. So the total width is 0.25. So that means from here to here should be 0.25. Now we need to dimension from the midline to here, and this should be halfway. So if 0.25 is your total distance, you need half of that. So that's 0.125. And now we can go back and we can put in our fillets. We're going to fillet the top to 0.125, 0.125, whoops, 0.125, and we're going to do that again here. So that's nice and rounded off at the top. That's what we want to see. And these little symbols for tangent, those little symbols here, that's what we want. Now, these internal ones are going to be half of that, so it's 0.0625. What is that? 0.0625, and that goes here. And here, here, and here. So we're just making the internal structures curved, and then this outside part is curved. We're going to leave the bottom flat. That's it. So we're going to finish that sketch. And now I'm going to revolve. So this is like an extrusion, but it extrudes around an axis. So when we choose revolve, we now have to select, we have the profile, it's already turned blue. We need to select an axis around which you want to rotate it. So I could select this as my axis. Let's see what happens when we do that. It creates a dumbbell. That is not a wheel. So we want to escape out of that. Try revolve again. This time we're going to select the bottom as the axis. And that makes a disc. And if we rotate it a little bit, that looks like a wheel. And that's what we want. So we click OK. I'm going to stop the video here. There'll be a second video to show you how to cut the windows and do the linkage arm post. So make sure you look at the second video to get those features.